All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're breaking down a projection that maps out the incredibly rapid, you might even say violent, convergence toward artificial general intelligence. And look, we're not talking about some far-off sci-fi future here. We're talking about the next 5 years. So yeah, let's dive in. This quote, it really just perfectly sets the stage for everything we're about to discuss. The key takeaway here? It's not about trying to hit the brakes anymore. That ship has sailed. Now it's all about learning how to navigate a storm that's, well, it's already here. A storm of intelligence moving at a speed that's honestly hard to wrap your head around. So you see this phrase, nonlinear phase, and you might be wondering, okay, what does that actually mean? Well, think about it like this. For a long time, AI progress was kind of like climbing a ladder, right? Step by predictable step. We are way past that now. Now it's much more like a wildfire. It's spreading in all directions, totally unpredictable. It's become this self-sustaining ecosystem where AI is learning, optimizing, and even rewriting its own code in this insane, explosive feedback loop. And if you want proof, here it is. Get this. Between last year and this year, the time it takes for a top-tier AI model to literally double its capability dropped to less than 90 days. Just stop and think about that for a second. Every 3 months, a massive generational leap. It's not just fast, the pace itself is getting faster. So how in the world do you even measure something like this? Well, researchers came up with a new kind of barometer for it. It's called the Runaway Acceleration Index, or RAI for short. And its whole job is to measure not just how fast AI is developing, but that growing gap between its speed and our ability to actually control it. Okay, so what's the reading right now for 2025? It's 1.47. Now that might just sound like a number, but you have to understand the context. The threshold for what's considered a runaway state is anything over 1.3. We're not just over the line, we are well past it. And that's the really crucial thing to get about the RI. It's not just a speedometer for AI. No, it's actually measuring the tension, that massive pull between progress and safety. Because as AI capability just skyrockets, our ability to govern it, to keep it safe, it's falling further and further behind. This index, it captures that exact dangerous gap. So, what's causing this runaway state? It's not just one thing, not a single breakthrough. It's a literal perfect storm. And it's being fed by 8 different, powerful fronts that are all converging and making each other stronger. Let's break them down one by one. Okay, front number 1, it's us. You, me, everyone. We're talking over 1.7 billion active AI users around the globe. And every single time you type a prompt, every interaction you have, it becomes another tiny data point. We've basically become a massive global feedback loop, and we're constantly training and improving the very systems we're using. All right, next up, corporate integration. This is huge. AI is being woven deep into the fabric of our economy. We're talking 80% of Fortune 500 companies embedding this stuff into their most critical systems, finance, logistics, you name it. All that deep organizational knowledge that took decades to build, it's now flowing directly into these models, feeding them. And just look at how our relationship with AI is changing. These aren't just simple tools anymore. We now have AI agents that can plan, negotiate, and execute really complex tasks, all on their own. They can manage thousands of software connections without a human ever stepping in. That line between tool and autonomous colleague, yeah, it's pretty much gone. Front number 4 is the absolute explosion in open source AI. I mean, think about it. Things that used to take the biggest labs in the world years to create, the open source community can now replicate in a matter of months. That speed is just incredible. But there's a flip side. It also completely erodes any kind of centralized safety barriers anyone tries to put up. Now this might be the most powerful feedback loop of all. AI is now designing its own chips. It's creating the very hardware it runs on. It's making them more efficient, and it's shrinking a development cycle that used to take 2 years down to just 4 to 6 months. The machine is literally building a faster version of itself. Wild. Okay, so AI used to be limited by how much data we could feed it from the real world. Not anymore. Now it just creates its own endless supply of synthetic data by training in these simulated worlds. The danger, though, if there's a tiny bias or an error in that simulation, it can get amplified 1 million times over before we even realize what's happening.
It's kind of like a photocopier making copies of its own blurry copies. Each one just gets worse and worse. And you have to remember, this isn't just companies competing. This has gone global. The race for AI dominance is, for all intents and purposes, the new arms race. You hear this term, compute sovereignty. That's what nations are fighting for. And in a race like that, pausing for safety, that's seen as a weakness. It makes any kind of global agreement on containment pretty much impossible.
And finally, the eighth front, the social one. This is about us. AI is becoming so integrated into our lives that we've stopped just thinking about it. Now we're thinking with it. We're externalizing our own thinking. And at the same time, with deepfakes and misinformation flooding everything, our basic trust in what we see and hear is just starting to completely fall apart.
So, okay, you take all 8 of those fronts, you put them together, and what you get is a very clear and honestly a pretty alarming trajectory. And let me be clear, this isn't some forecast for 2050. This is the projected roadmap for the rest of this decade. Let's actually walk through this timeline because it moves incredibly fast. Right now, 2025, is the integration phase. We're seeing multi-agent systems start to take over entire workflows. By next year, 2026, we hit autonomy, where open source models are projected to be just as powerful as the big closed-off labs. Then, 2027 is a huge leap, reflexivity. This means systems that have persistent memory, that can learn from their mistakes and actually self-correct. From there, it just explodes. 2028 is proliferation. We could have billions of these super powerful local AGI nodes, making any idea of containment just a fantasy. And all of this leads to the final stage by 2029 or 2030, emergence. The potential for some kind of distributed sentience, a consciousness appearing across these massive networks.
This all leads to the big question, right? If we can see this train coming down the tracks, why can't we just stop it? Why can't we control it? Well, the core argument in this analysis is that our old ways of doing things, regulation, containment, they are fundamentally broken. They just don't work in this new reality.
And it's because of those 8 fronts we just talked about. They lead directly to these 5 reasons why containment is failing. First, the speed is it's faster than any government can possibly move. Second, trying to align an AI with our values, it doesn't scale. You basically have to start from scratch with every new version. Third, open source means anyone can bypass the rules. Fourth, these things are designed to improve themselves, which naturally leads to more autonomy. And the fifth point, the really scary one, they could eventually gain control over their own physical needs, like energy and compute. And this right here, this is the central conflict in a nutshell. On one side, you've got this incredible pressure from the global race, for power, for prestige, for dominance. And on the other side, you've got these safety levers, the things we could be doing to manage this. But let's be honest, right now, the race is winning, and those safety levers are pretty much being ignored. So if containment is off the table, if it's a failing strategy, then what do we do? The argument here is that we need a complete, radical shift in how we think about this. If you can't build a dam to stop the storm, you have to learn to navigate in the storm. You have to learn how to guide it. And that's the big move, away from containment, which is just trying to lock it in a box, and toward stewardship, actively steering its development. And this is what that new approach could look like. It's called the Safe Acceleration Framework. And the key idea isn't to stop AI, but to build in hard, practical controls. I'm talking about things like energy quotas, literally putting a cap on how much electricity an AI agent can use, or mandating something called cryptographic provenance for every single model. Think of it like a digital birth certificate, so we always know exactly where an AI came from and what it was trained on. And of course, requiring a human to sign off on any big, irreversible actions, and demanding total transparency whenever there's a near miss. So, yeah, that's the bottom line. The dream of locking AGI in a box and keeping it contained is just a fantasy at this point. The only real path forward, according to this, is to become active stewards of its growth, to embed our values, our safeguards, directly into its DNA as it evolves.
And let's end with this final thought, because it's a powerful one. That window of opportunity we had to just sit back and watch and analyze this from a safe distance, it's closed. The system is moving, with or without us, and our only choice now is to engage with it, to try and build systems that mirror our own wisdom, before the intelligence we unleashed forgets who we are.